welcome to the FanDuel Punch-Out. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 8-game slate. Some decent pitching as far as up top. You got guys like Lester, Strasburg, Price going. So overall, I mean, FanDuel pricing always a little softer, so you can kind of balance things out.
Certainly. Certainly welcomed after we just check out the DK one. It was hurtful, but at the same time we got through it. Some good plays, but yeah, this is always a little more fun, I think.
And I think we should talk about here. I mean, we talked about it on DraftKings, so it'd only be fair. Is your parking garage background?
I don't think it is fair to talk about my parking garage background. I got an office, I got my desk, I got my whole setup here. We're working on the concrete, although I feel like that does add to the allure of my strength and power and my Adonis-like figure.
Well done.
So yes. I think that's kind of might be my look going forward, but either way.
You look like you're held captive in a Die Hard movie.
But like they still let me do pods.
Yeah. Your only way of surviving is providing DFS advice.
I get the 3-day-old bread at Stop and Shop and
you were eating Stop and Shop sushi the other night, so
that's true.
What difference is that? How did that turn out after?
Oh, what difference does that make? Get out of here. How'd that turn out? Do you really want to know?
No, I don't.
Turned out well.
Oh, okay. That's surprising.
Well. Bodily functions are set. Things are good.
All right, reasonable.
No Raisin Bran for this guy.
No Stop and Shop sushi that does it.
Yeah.
All right, first game here, Astros and Pirates, Jameson Taillon versus Doug Fister. A little bit more reasonable pricing as far as the Pirates go here, but I'm still not on them. Gregory Polanco's struggling, but I do like the matchup here against Fister. Fister has really struggled with lefties, 348 WOBA, 1.50 home runs per nine since last year. With the struggles, 3-2 is a much more reasonable price tag to target him at.
Yeah, I like Polanco at 3-2. Again, McCutchen and Marte, I'm fine with that at 3-7, 3-4. I have a much different viewpoint than just totally smacking the Pirates down as I did on DK. I'm okay with these prices, and certainly on this type of slate, you can look at them in tournaments.
Yeah, I think so here. I mean, the cheap exposure is certainly fine. One guy I'm going to toss out if you wanted to punt first base, if you're looking to pay up the pitching and do something weird, is Josh Bell. 2,100, obviously lefty against Fister with those numbers. Obviously kind of a boomer bust play, but there is some upside there, so I'm going to throw him in some GPPs.
Agreed.
If he's
I like
in.
that call. I like that call. Well, let's be optimistic. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, should be.
No, yeah. Should be. Yeah, maybe you should, stop being such a negative Nancy sometimes, okay?
As far as the Astros go, I'm not behind these prices. Taillon's been pretty solid against righties in that ballpark. Projected for under 4 runs. I can't get behind paying a near 4K price tag for basically those 3 big names.
Agreed. Yeah, I think what we come away from this with is I like Taillon at 7,500. I think that's a nice little swerve there. But yeah, 4K for Springer, not feeling that. 3.8 for Correa, not feeling that. I could do Altuve in a tournament sense, but overall, yeah, not loving these prices.
No, I'm not either. Not loving the ballpark there. It's just kind of one I'm staying away from for the most part.
Yeah.
Nationals and Orioles next year, Steven Strasburg versus Dylan Bundy. Obviously, both these guys are strong right-handed arms. Definitely some strikeout upside. As far as bats go, I mean, for me, it's just one-offs. I can't really see using more than one from a single team here in the lineup. I can't see really stacking. And on the national side, I mean, I really think I'm just going to be looking to either pay up for Murphy or Harper in a one-off sense in GPPs.
Yep, agreed. I think that's the way you roll with the Nationals lineup. In terms of Strasburg, though, I do kind of like him tonight. I think you can take a gamble. So instead of Machado here, I kind of like Trumbo's price. So that's kind of going to be the guy I'd take a tournament one-off with. But overall, I don't envision myself taking too many shots with this Orioles team.
No, I don't think so either. And I don't think this game in general I'm going to be a fan of as far as taking a lot of shots with. I think just more one-off standpoint because obviously there is some home run potential in that ballpark. I mean, I do think damage is going to be limited, but you might be able to find maybe a guy who does go 1 or 2 for 4 with a solo shot or something.
Yep.
Red Sox and Rays next here. You got Blake Snell versus David Price. The Rays prices, as far as the two guys we mentioned over on DK, Forsythe and Longoria, a little bit more easier to accommodate here. Still just GPP plays, but I think they're an interesting way to go about Price, who really hasn't been the most dominating figure.
He's not an Adonis-like figure like me. I agree.
No,
But
he doesn't sit in cement walls and pitch.
yeah. I should put concrete on my body before the shows just to show how tough I am and have like woodwork that I'm working on. Like, oh, this is my new project. I'm sealing this shed that
I'm building a canoe from my own bare hands.
that I cut the lumber from out back.
And then you're meeting
In my
homemade beef jerky that
in
you
my
killed it on
yeah.
your own. Taking a look at the rest of the other games here. I mean, Rays and Red Sox here we talked about. Obviously, Longoria and Forsythe are certainly in play. As we wait for Russ to pop back in.
I'm back.
Red Sox here, I think they're obviously the more favorable matchup, obviously against Snell, who Snell's been solid, still a high walk rate, but the Bogarts and Pedroia prices are pretty easy to accommodate. The Hanley prices being 700 different than Ortiz is a noticeable one here.
Definitely.
As far as the other guys, I don't see myself really using the back end much. Aaron Hill, Benintendi, Brian Holiday, I can't see myself punting down to. It's more just kind of sticking with the main figures there in that offense. And that kind of game. I mean, overall, it's going to be probably a mediocre game to target. I mean, not really a big run total there, just 7.5 as far as the game goes. But that's just about it.
All right, I'm really back this time.
All right, Red Sox. I mean, who are you on outside those right-handers? And are you diving down to the back half of the lineup?
Not especially. I think we just go with, again, I like Pedroia and Bogart's prices here just as much as I like him on DK. So firing away with those. I don't mind Mookie's price either, even though it is a pay up. I think that's the guys I'm going to war with tonight.
Yeah, definitely could see that there. Rockies and Brewers next year, Jimmy Nelson versus Chad Bettis. Some of these Rockies prices are a little bit more attractive here on FanDuel. I mean, David Dahl, 3,500, Cargo, 3,700. Given Nelson's struggles against lefties, I mean, 361 WOBA since last year, I really like those prices quite a bit in that ballpark.
Yeah, absolutely. Carlos Gonzalez at 37 is very much a cash play. I think that's one of the easiest plugins of the night. You just kind of throw him in there. David Dahl as well. I mean, I think that's cash game viable as well. So I think you definitely look at the lefties pretty much all the way down the line in this lineup. And obviously look at Arenado as well, who could be in for another big power night.
Yeah, definitely could see that. I mean, obviously not Coors, but still a pretty friendly ballpark there as far as Miller Park goes. On the Brewers side, I mean, Chad Bettis, over 5 ERA on the road this year. Reverse splits guy. So obviously I think Chris Carter, Ryan Braun are certainly in play. I even don't mind a Villar or Gannett leading off. And as you mentioned, I think those guys are more part of the stack than anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but overall, I mean, that game in general should be one to target tonight as far as kind of top scoring games go.
Mm-hmm.
Braves and Diamondbacks here, Zach Galli versus Mike Foltynewicz, and the Diamondbacks prices are always much more reasonable on FanDuel. I mean, they weren't bad on DraftKings tonight, but Segura 3.5, Lamb at 3.3, Tomas at 3.3. I certainly like those prices. I think those are all cash game viable against Foltynewicz there.
Definitely cash game viable, and certainly going to be one of the chalkiest moves of the night, especially Jake Lamb. So, yeah, I think you just fire him in there if you're going to sort of hedge off of Arenado or something. And, I mean, even Goldschmidt at 4.2, I'm in on that. Segura, certainly like that price a lot more here. He's in cash game play as well.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And you look at Foltynewicz, I mean, he's been better against righties this year, but still, you go back to 2015, I mean, 336 WOBA, 1.39 home runs per nine. So it is certainly both sides of the plate. And Vegas is certainly projecting a lot of runs for Diamondbacks tonight.
Yeah.
As far as the Braves go, I mean, Freeman's crept up in price, but 3,900 still is reasonable against Godley in that ballpark. The secondary pieces around him are much more reasonable here. If you want to kind of build a little maybe mini stack in for Atlanta in tournaments, I'm okay with that.
And Carte is the guy I think we're focusing on here. I don't mind that price at 33. That's much more reasonable. Even a Markakis at 28. And even a Matt Kemp at 34. I think that's an interesting sort of stack in an 8-gamer. Obviously, Godley hasn't been godly, so you can definitely fire away there.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
I think Freeman's probably the only guy who's actually cash game viable. I mean, you can maybe make a case for Encayarta or Markakis, but I'll go elsewhere if I can.
Mm-hmm.
Indians and A's next year. Andrew Trigg versus Carlos Carrasco. The A's bats, I mean, I only really like one in GPPs, and that's Chris Davis for the home run upside. But outside of that, they're not really priced down enough for me to really consider.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm not going against Carrasco. I learned my lesson. At not even going against him, just fading him a little bit. So I'll set with that against this week Athletics offense. So, but I guess the more interesting story in this game here is the pricing for the Indians. Certainly, his prices definitely some cash game viable plays here, especially Lonnie Chisenhall.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, him, Naquin, as far as 29 and 3K, I don't mind those guys. Jose Ramirez has been red hot. 3,300 certainly reasonable. And obviously, because we talked about a handful of third basemen already, he would certainly be a low ownership play. Obviously, a downgrade in ballpark there. But yeah, I think the Indians' bets are much more viable here because of the pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Yankees and Mariners next year. Cody Martin versus Michael Pineda. And some of these Mariners prices I actually like quite a bit. I think if you wanted to maybe assume that Pineda's going to have that blow-up game, Cano, Cruz, Seager, that grouping right there isn't that bad of a price.
It's not at all, especially, I mean, Cano at 34 is a really, really, really nice price. So that's cash game viable for sure. Certainly looking at Cruz and Seager as well. I mean, even a Seth Smith at 28, I don't mind that either. So I think that could be a potential tournament stack. In cash, probably stick to Cano, especially with some of the other prices we've already looked at.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm not really in on the secondary guys. I mean, DraftKings, you kind of had to be a little bit because of the pricing. Here, I don't feel like I need to kind of go that route.
Right.
As far as the Yankees go, I mean, kind of the same thing where I'm not really on them as much on FanDuel, but I don't mind still an Ellsbury or Gardner if you want to go that way in outfield. Gary Sanchez is a much more reasonable price here. Gary Sanchez is obviously going to be a popular backstop option tonight.
I think we're just plugging Gary Sanchez in cash, and that's fine.
Gary the Goat Sanchez. I mean, there's no other way to put it right now.
Unbelievable. So I think we're just firing away with him, and that's fine.
Yeah, I think so. You look at Martin. I mean, a small sample size, but really both sides of the play have hit him well. So I'm okay with actually using some Yankees there. More in a GPP sense. I mean, you can maybe make a case for the outfielders and Sanchez, but diving any lower is more GPP.
Yeah, agreed.
Cubs and Padres next year. Edwin Jackson versus John Lester. Some of the Cubs prices are a little bit more reasonable. I mean, Zobrist, Russell are okay. Contreras at 3K is an interesting pivot. Obviously, Edwin Jackson, not the strongest right-handed arm, but obviously Petco, a little bit of a downgrade for righty power. But I'm okay with some of those bats.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like Rizzo in cash games. I think there's a lot of reasonable options in this Cubs lineup. I think we're kind of treating them pretty much exactly how we treated the Coors series, against Edwin Jackson at least, even in a bad ballpark. Love Ben Zobrist's price. I think he's going to have a good night.
Yeah, I mean, hitting fourth, he certainly could. And we talked about Jason Hayward. We were talking about it a little bit before the show. We kind of made the reference that Jason Hayward's the choir guy who can't sing, but he just mouths it while the rest of the team picks up the slack, because that's really what he is at this point, hitting 225 on the season.
It's really gross. Yeah, 5 homers. Obviously wasn't a big power guy in the past, but, I mean, this just hasn't been a good year for him. So at that price, I don't think we have to do this on FanDuel. It's much more of a conversation on DK.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And as far as the Padres go, Will Meyer is still the only standout option as far as using him in the tournament.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap things up with the FanDuel Punch-Out. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all great tools and content.